Captain Han sat very still in his command chair. His eyes were fixed on the blue-green planet that filled the main screen of the stealth vessel Whisper *. Nama 7 looked peaceful from orbit. Too peaceful. Status report, Han said, his voice cutting through the quiet hum of the bridge. Officer Song turned from her communication station. All systems silent, Captain. We remain undetected. Han nodded. The Whisper * was the newest ship in the Republic fleet. Built for stealth, it could orbit a planet for months without being seen. That was why they had been sent here, to the edge of known space. The small device behind Han's right ear began to buzz. His hand moved to it automatically. The neural implant connected him directly to Fleet Command. All captains had them. All captains followed the commands they received without question. Han closed his eyes as the message flowed directly into his mind. Images, data, and orders all at once. When he opened his eyes again, the bridge crew was watching him. They knew what the slight twitch of his jaw meant. New orders. Science Officer Da, Han said, turning to the thin man at the sensor station. Scan the surface again. Focus on the northern continent, grid sector 17. Da's fingers moved quickly across his control panel. Captain, I don't understand. We've scanned that area 3 times already. It's uninhabited. Scan it again, Han said. His voice was harder now. The crew fell silent. When the captain used that tone, no one argued. Day worked for several minutes. Then he froze. Captain, I'm picking up a signal. It's faint, but it's there. How did we miss this before? What kind of signal? Han asked, though he already knew the answer. It's... Da paused, rechecking his readings. It matches Krell communication patterns, sir. The temperature on the bridge seemed to drop. Everyone knew about the Krell. The alien race had been at war with humanity for 50 years. They were ruthless, machine-like beings who showed no mercy. At least, that's what everyone was taught. Could it be a mistake? Asked Jai, the weapons specialist. Her hand already hovered over the targeting systems. Han shook his head. Fleet Command doesn't make mistakes. Intelligence believes it's a dormant advance party. The first wave of a new invasion. Som looked worried. But Nama 7 is marked as uninhabited. There are no colonies here to protect. Not yet, Han said. But the Republic has plans for this world. It's rich in resources we need. Han stood up and walked to the center of the bridge. The neural implant was still buzzing, pushing the command deeper into his mind. He could feel it taking root, becoming impossible to ignore. Our orders are clear, he said. Eliminate all non-human sentient life on the surface. No exceptions. The crew was silent again, but this time it was different. They all had their own implants, receiving the same basic command. Their training told them this was necessary. The Krell were the enemy. The enemy must be destroyed. Prepare a reconnaissance team, Han ordered. Lieutenant Kim will lead. I want confirmation before we launch a full orbital strike. If there are Krell down there, I want to know how many and what they're planning. Ji's fingers danced across her console. Weapon systems are ready, Captain. At your command, we can sterilize the entire area. Han nodded. Prepare the strike, but wait for my order. He returned to his chair and stared at the planet. Something felt wrong. Fleet Command had never been wrong before, but why send the Whisper * to an empty planet? Why were they finding Krell signals only after being told where to look? The implant buzzed again, more insistent this time. Eliminate. 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 Asterisk. Han pushed the doubts away. He was a Republic officer. He followed orders. Lieutenant Kim, report to the shuttle bay, he said into his comm. Prepare for immediate deployment to the surface. The hunt had begun. Lieutenant Kim felt the landing shuttle touch down with a soft bump. He checked his weapon one last time before standing to address his team of 4 soldiers. Remember the mission, he said. Find the source of the signal. Confirm if it's Krell and report back. No engagement unless necessary. The team nodded. They all had the same red light blinking on their neural implants. The command was clear: find and eliminate. But Kim's training told him to be careful. Look first, then act. The door opened, and cold air rushed in. Nama 7 had breathable air, but was colder than Earth. The team stepped out onto rocky ground. Tall mountains rose around them, and a thick forest spread out below their landing spot. "The signal is coming from that valley," said Corporal Lee, pointing to a gap between two mountains, about 2 kilometers east. Kim nodded. "Move out. Stay alert." They walked in silence. Their boots crunched on the rocky ground. Their eyes scanned for any movement. Their neural implants kept blinking red, a constant reminder of their mission. After an hour of walking, they found it. Hidden between large rocks was a structure. It was not made of stone or metal, but something in between. It had the curved, organic look of Krell design. "Spread out," Kim ordered. "Drones first." 2 small flying robots moved ahead of the team. They would go inside first, scanning for threats. The soldiers watched the images on their wrist screens. The building seemed empty, long abandoned. "No life signs," Lee reported. "But the signal is definitely coming from inside." Kim frowned. Something wasn't right. If Krell were planning an invasion, why use an abandoned outpost? Why send a signal that could be detected? "We go in," he decided. "Stay together." The inside of the structure was dark and dusty. It looked like no one had been there for years. Old equipment lined the walls. Some of it was broken. Some still hummed with power. There, Lee pointed to a small device in the center of the main room. "That's our signal source." Kim approached it carefully. The device was simple, a small box with lights. It was Krell design, but it looked different from the weapons and ships Kim had seen in training videos. "It's some kind of beacon," Kim said. "But why?" A noise from deeper in the building cut him off. All 4 soldiers raised their weapons. "I thought you said no life signs," Kim whispered to Lee. "The scan showed nothing," Lee whispered back. Another noise, closer this time. It sounded like a child. Kim moved forward slowly. The others followed. They passed through a doorway into a larger room. And then they saw them. People. About 20 of them. Most were children. They huddled together in fear at the far end of the room. A young woman stood in front of them protectively. Her eyes were fierce but scared. "Who are you?" she asked in a shaky voice. Kim lowered his weapon slightly. "Lieutenant Kim, Republic Fleet." "Who are you?" "My name is Jin," the woman said. "Please don't hurt the children." Kim was confused. The neural implant was now flashing faster. Asterisk eliminate. 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 Asterisk, but these were humans, not Krell. Then he saw them more clearly. The children looked mostly human, but not entirely. Some had patches of the metallic Krell skin. Others had eyes that glowed slightly in the dim light. They were hybrids, part human, part Krell. The soldiers' combat drones immediately targeted the children, red lights painting their small bodies. "Non-human entities detected," the drone's mechanical voice announced. "Beginning elimination protocol." "No," Jin shouted, spreading her arms wider to shield the children. Kim's implant was now burning hot against his skin. The command was clear. These were enemies. They must be destroyed. But as he looked at the frightened faces of the children, something deep inside him rebelled against the order. Something older than his training. Older than the Republic itself. "Stand down," Kim said, pushing his weapon aside. "Everyone stand down." His beast said protect. Kim reached up and pressed the small button on his neural implant. The red light stopped blinking. The burning sensation faded. The constant command to eliminate disappeared from his mind. "Lieutenant, what are you doing?" Lee asked, his voice tight with shock. "You've cut yourself off from command." "I know what I'm doing," Kim said firmly. He turned to the rest of the team. Lower your weapons. Now. 2 of the soldiers obeyed immediately. They seemed relieved, but Lee kept his gun pointed at the children. They're not human, Lee said. Our orders are clear. Look at them, Lee, Kim said quietly. Really look. They're just children. Lee's eyes darted between the children and Kim. His implant was still blinking red, pushing the command into his brain. His fingers stayed on the trigger. Kim turned to Jin. You need to explain. Quickly. Jin nodded, her eyes still watching Lee's gun. The children are orphans. They were part of an experiment by a scientist named Dr. Moon. He believed that humans needed to adapt to survive on frontier worlds. By mixing human and Krell DNA? Kim asked. Yes, Jin said. Dr. Moon thought Krell adaptive abilities would help humans survive harsh environments. But he also believed human empathy was important to keep. He wanted the best of both species. Kim looked at the children more carefully now. They seemed afraid, but their fear was human. They huddled together. Some of the older ones protected the younger ones. They acted like human children, not Krell warriors. Where is Dr. Moon now? Kim asked. Jin's eyes fell. Dead. Republic forces found his main lab a year ago. She couldn't finish the sentence. Kim understood. They had eliminated the threat, just as he was ordered to do now. How did you end up here? He asked. I was Dr. Moon's assistant, Jin said. When the attack came, he told me to take the children and run. This was one of his old research stations. We've been hiding here ever since. Lee suddenly spoke, his voice hard. This is a trick. Krell are masters of deception. These could be weapons designed to look like children. Kim shook his head. No, Lee. Our scans would have detected that kind of technology. Then why did Command order us to eliminate them? Lee demanded. It was a good question. Kim didn't have a good answer. One of the other soldiers, Yoon, stepped forward. Maybe Command doesn't know they're like this. Maybe they just detected Krell DNA and assumed the worst. Or maybe they do know, said the 4th soldier, Min. Maybe that's why we were sent to confirm first. Lee's gun was still raised, but doubt showed in his eyes. His implant continued to flash red. Kim made his decision. He turned to the team. I'm ordering all of you to disconnect your implants. Now. That's against regulation. Lee protested. I know, Kim said. But I need you to think with your own minds, not with Command's orders in them. Yoon reached up without hesitation and turned off his implant. Min followed a moment later. Only Lee remained connected. Lee, Kim said gently. Those are children. Human enough to be afraid. Human enough to need protection. Are you going to be the one to kill them? Lee's hand trembled. Sweat beaded on his forehead. The implant's light seemed to blink faster, as if sensing his doubt. A small girl, no more than 5 years old, stepped away from Jin's protection. She had patches of Krell skin on her arms, but her eyes were fully human. She looked up at Lee without fear. Are you going to hurt us? She asked in a small voice. Lee stared at her, his gun lowered inch by inch. Finally, he reached up and turned off his implant. No, he said to the girl. I'm not going to hurt you. Kim let out the breath he had been holding. Good choice, he said. Now we need a plan. Because when we don't report back soon, Captain Han will know something is wrong. Jin stepped forward. There are caves beneath this building. We can hide there. Kim nodded. Then we need to move now. We don't have much time. The next hour was busy. Jin showed Kim and his team the entrance to the caves. It was hidden behind a large metal panel in the floor of the main room. The children gathered what few things they had, some clothes, toys, and food. How deep do these caves go? Kim asked, as he helped move supplies down the narrow stairway. Very deep, Jin said. Dr. Moon said they were made by the Krell long ago. There are many tunnels and rooms. Kim nodded. This was good. The deeper they could go, the harder it would be for Captain Han to find them. Up on the surface, Lee stood guard at the entrance of the building. Min and Yoon helped the children prepare to move. Everyone was working together now. Or so it seemed. Lee checked to make sure no one was watching him. Then he reached up to his neural implant and pressed the button. The red light came back on. The burning sensation returned. The command filled his mind again. Asterisk eliminate. 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 Asterisk. But Lee didn't fully reconnect. He only opened the channel enough to send one quick message to the asterisk whisper asterisk. Then he turned it off again. He had done his duty. He was a Republic soldier. He followed orders. Back on the asterisk whisper asterisk, Captain Han received Lee's message. His face showed no emotion as he read it. Sir, Song called from her station. We've lost contact with the ground team. No, we haven't, Han said calmly. Corporal Lee just sent an emergency signal. They'd found Krell hybrids. Lieutenant Kim has gone rogue. The bridge crew fell silent. Going rogue was the worst thing a Republic officer could do. It meant turning against command. It meant death. Prepare a precision strike on these coordinates, Han ordered Ji. Jai hesitated for just a second. Sir, our own team is still there. They've had time to disconnect their implants, Han said. That means they're no longer following command. They're no longer part of the Republic. Jay nodded and began entering the targeting data. Down in the caves, Kim felt something was wrong. Lee had been too quiet since they started moving the children. Now he was hanging back, letting the others go ahead. Lee, Kim called. Is something wrong? Lee didn't answer. His hand moved to his pocket. Kim moved closer. Lee, what's in your pocket? Lee suddenly pulled out a handful of small metal discs, targeting beacons. He lunged toward the nearest child, trying to stick one of the beacons on the boy's shirt. No, Kim shouted. He threw himself at Lee, knocking him to the ground. The beacons scattered across the cave floor. The children screamed. Jin rushed to gather them away from the fighting men. Min and Yoon ran back up the tunnel. What's happening? Yoon shouted. He's tagged the location. Kim grunted as he held Lee down. He's called in a strike. Lee struggled harder. It's my duty, he said through gritted teeth. They're the enemy. They're children, Kim shouted in his face. Lee's hand inched toward his gun. Kim saw the movement and acted without thinking. He slammed Lee's head against the stone floor. Lee went limp. Kim stood up, breathing hard. He had just attacked a fellow soldier. There was no going back now. Is he dead? Min asked quietly. Kim checked Lee's pulse. No, just knocked out. Tie him up and bring him with us. We can't leave him here. Yoon looked up at the cave ceiling. How long do we have before the strike? Minutes, maybe, Kim said. We need to move deeper, now. Jin was already leading the children further into the cave system. This way, she called. Hurry. Kim looked back at the unconscious Lee. He felt sick. Lee had been his friend, his teammate. Now Lee had betrayed them all. In the sky above, a small missile launched from the asterisk whisper asterisk. It streaked down toward the planet's surface, aimed directly at the old Krell outpost. Captain Han watched its path on the main screen. Target locked, Jai reported. Impact in 30 seconds. Han nodded. Orders were orders. The threat would be eliminated. The missile hit with a sound like thunder. The ground shook. Dust and small rocks fell from the ceiling of the cave. The children cried out in fear. Keep moving, Kim urged them. We need to get deeper. They hurried through the dark tunnels. Min carried a small light at the front of the group. Yoon dragged the still unconscious Lee at the back. Jin counted the children to make sure no one was left behind. Above them, Captain Han watched the explosion on his screen. The old Krell building was completely destroyed. Nothing could have survived on the surface. Scan for life signs, Han ordered. Day worked at his console for a moment. Sir, I'm detecting movement underground. The scan shows a network of caves beneath the target area. Han frowned. They'd gone to ground. He thought for a moment, then made his decision. Prepare a combat team. Major Park will lead. I want those hybrids found and eliminated. Captain, Dai said quietly. I've been analyzing the data from Lee's message. The genetic scans show the children are mostly human. They have only small amounts of Krell DNA. Han's face hardened. They're still not fully human. Our orders are clear. Yes, sir, Dai said, but he looked troubled. In the shuttle bay, Major Park prepared his team of 6 elite soldiers. They were the best fighters on the Whisper *. They were trained to hunt and kill. This is a cleanup mission, Park told them. Lieutenant Kim has gone rogue. He is protecting Krell hybrids. Your orders are to eliminate all non-human entities and bring back Kim and his team for court-martial. The soldiers nodded. Their neural implants flashed red in unison. They were ready. Deep in the caves, Kim's group stopped to rest. They had been moving quickly for over an hour. The children were tired. Jin handed out water and some food. Do you think we're safe now? She asked Kim. No, Kim said honestly. Captain Han won't give up that easily. He'll send someone after us. As if to confirm his words, a distant sound echoed through the caves. Boots on stone. A combat team was coming. We need to keep moving, Kim said, getting to his feet. But Jin was looking around with a strange expression. Something is happening, she said. Kim followed her gaze. The walls of the cave were changing. Small lights were appearing in the stone, glowing with a soft blue color. The lights seemed to be reacting to the presence of the children. One of the older boys, about 10 years old, walked to the wall and placed his hand on it. The blue lights grew brighter. The boy's eyes widened in surprise. I can feel it, he said. It's talking to me. Jin moved to the boy's side. What is it saying, Ta? The boy closed his eyes. It's old. Very old. It says we are welcome. I think that's what it means. Kim watched in amazement. The Krell technology was responding to the hybrid children. It recognized them. The sound of boots grew louder. Major Park's team was getting closer. Jin, Kim said urgently, is there another way out of this tunnel? Jin looked at Ta, who still had his hand on the wall. The boy nodded. Yes, the wall says there are many tunnels. It will show us. As they watched, a section of the wall slid open, revealing a passage they hadn't seen before. Blue lights lined the new tunnel, pointing the way. Go, Kim told Jin. Take the children through there. Jin looked at him with concern. What about you? I'll stay here with Min and Yoon. We'll slow them down, give you time to get away. Jin hesitated, then nodded. She gathered the children and led them into the new passage. Kim, Min, and Yoon took up positions in the main tunnel. They could hear the combat team getting closer. They could see the beams of their lights. Remember, Kim told his men, don't kill if you don't have to. They're just following orders, like we were. The first member of Major Park's team came around the corner. The hunt had begun. The fight in the tunnel was short but fierce. Kim, Min, and Yoon fired stun shots at Major Park's team. They didn't want to kill their fellow soldiers, but Park's team had no such limits. They fired to kill. Min went down first, hit in the shoulder. Yoon pulled him behind a rock for cover. Kim kept firing, trying to buy time. Fall back, Kim shouted. We need to follow Jin and the children. Kim threw his last stun grenade. The flash lit up the tunnel. Park's team ducked for cover. In that moment, Kim, Yoon, and the injured Min ran down the passage where Jin had gone. The new tunnel was unlike the others. The walls were smooth and covered with the blue lights. The floor seemed to glow under their feet. It was clearly made by Krell technology, but it felt different from the weapons and ships Kim had seen before. It felt peaceful. They caught up to Jin and the children at a large round door. Tai had his hand on a glowing panel beside it. His face was tight with concentration. "It won't open," Jin said when she saw Kim. "Something's wrong." Kim looked back down the tunnel. He could hear Park's team coming. "We don't have much time." Tai suddenly stepped back from the panel. "It wants all of us," he said. "All the children. Together." The children gathered around the door. As they approached, the blue lights grew brighter. The door began to hum. "It's working," Jin said. The door slid open just as Park's team came around the corner. "There they are," Park shouted. "Fire. Inside. Now." Kim pushed the last of the children through the door. He, Yoon, and Min followed, carrying Lee's still unconscious body. Jin was the last one through. A shot hit the wall next to her head as the door slid shut behind her. They found themselves in a huge circular chamber. Blue lights covered the walls, ceiling, and floor. In the center was a raised platform with strange devices on it. The children moved toward the platform as if pulled by an invisible force. Their eyes were wide with wonder. "What is this place?" Jin whispered. "I'm not sure," Kim said, "but it feels old. Very old." Tae reached the platform first. He placed his hand on one of the devices. The blue lights suddenly pulsed brighter. The whole chamber seemed to come alive. Images appeared in the air above the platform. They showed stars, planets, and what looked like a journey through space. They showed Krell ships, but not warships. These were large vessels carrying many people. They were refugees, Jin said, understanding dawning on her face. The Krell weren't invaders. They were running from something. Kim watched the images change. They now showed the first meetings between humans and Krell. Not battles, but attempts at communication. Attempts that somehow went wrong. "The war," Kim said. "It was a mistake." The door to the chamber suddenly shook. Park's team was trying to break through. Tai and the other children still stood on the platform. Their eyes now glowed with the same blue light as the walls. They seemed to be connected to the Krell technology. "What's happening to them?" Yoon asked, his voice filled with worry. "I think they're learning," Jin said. "The Krell built this place to preserve knowledge. To remember." The door shook again. A crack appeared in its surface. "Park will break through soon," Kim said. "We need a plan." But the children didn't look afraid. Tai turned to Kim, his eyes still glowing blue. "We are safe now," he said in a voice that sounded older than his years. "This is a sanctuary. It was made to protect life." As he spoke, a blue shield of energy formed around the platform where the children stood. It expanded outward, covering the entire chamber. The door finally broke open. Park and his team rushed in, weapons ready. "Eliminate the hybrids," Park ordered. But when they fired, their shots hit the blue shield and disappeared. Nothing could get through. Park stared at the children, at the shield, at the images still floating in the air. For the first time, doubt showed on his face. "What is this?" he demanded. "The truth," Kim answered simply. Back on the Whisper Dai sat alone at his science station. The bridge was quiet. Most of the crew was resting while they waited for news from Major Park. But Dai was not resting. He could not stop thinking about the strange readings from the planet, about the children who were mostly human, about the orders that seemed too quick, too certain. He called up the first scans they had made of the planet. Nothing unusual. Then he looked at the scans they made after Captain Han received his orders. The Krell signal was there, clear as day. "That makes no sense," Da muttered to himself. How could they miss something so obvious the first time? He dug deeper. He compared the raw data from both scans. In the first scan, there was no signal. In the second, there it was. But the data patterns were too perfect, too clean. It was added, Da realized with a shock. Someone put it there. He looked around the empty bridge. No one was watching. He entered his special access code, and began searching through the Republic's historical database. He looked for the first contact with the Krell, for the beginning of the war. What he found made his blood run cold. The files had been altered. The dates didn't match up. Important details were missing. The more he looked, the more he found. A pattern of deliberate changes, all making the Krell seem more aggressive, more alien, more dangerous than they really were. His hands trembled as he downloaded the evidence to a secure data chip. Then he went to find Captain Han. Down in the sanctuary chamber, Major Park and his team stood facing Kim, Jin, and the children. The blue shield still protected them. The images of Krell history still floated in the air. "What trick is this?" Park demanded. "Krell mind control. Some kind of weapon." "No trick," Kim said. "Look at the images, Major. Really look. This is a record of what really happened." Park's eyes flicked to the floating images, then back to Kim. "Those could be faked." "To what purpose?" Jin asked. "We're trapped down here. What would we gain by showing you false images?" One of the children, a small girl named Sun, stepped forward. The blue shield moved with her. She looked at Park without fear. "The walls told us," she said simply. "The Krell came here to be safe. They were running from a bad thing in space. They tried to talk to humans, but humans were scared. Humans attacked first." Park stared at the child. His neural implant was still flashing red, but his eyes showed doubt. "Major," one of his soldiers said, "our orders are to eliminate." "I know our orders," Park snapped. He looked at the children again, all of them watching him with those two human eyes. "But they're just children." In that moment, Captain Han's voice came through their comm units. "Major Park, report. Have you eliminated the targets?" Park hesitated, looking at the children, at the shield, at the images showing a history he had never learned. "Major, respond." Han's voice came again, sharper this time. "Captain," Park finally answered. "The situation is complicated. I think you need to see this for yourself." There was a long pause. Then, "I'm on my way. Hold your position." The comm went silent. Park lowered his weapon slightly. "You have until the captain arrives to convince me," he told Kim. "Show me everything." On the whisper, Captain Han stepped out of his quarters to find Da waiting for him in the corridor. "Captain, I need to speak with you," Da said. His voice was steady, but his eyes showed fear. "It's about our mission. About all our missions against the Krell." Han frowned. "What about them?" "They're based on lies," Da said. He held out the data chip. "I found evidence that the Republic has been altering historical records. The Krell were never our enemies, not until we made them so." Han stared at the chip. "That's a serious accusation, Officer Da." "I know, sir, but the evidence is clear. We've been fighting a war based on propaganda and fear." Han took the chip and looked at it for a long moment. Then he inserted it into his personal data pad and began to read. His face showed no emotion as the truth unfolded before him. But inside, a battle was raging. The neural implant burned against his skin, pushing the command deeper. Eliminate. 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 But his human mind, his true self, was finally asking the question he should have asked long ago. Captain Han stood at the entrance of the sanctuary chamber. He had come alone. His eyes moved from the children behind the blue shield to the images still floating in the air. He saw the Krell ships, not as weapons of war, but as vessels of escape. He saw the first meetings between humans and Krell, the misunderstandings, the fear. The first shots fired, not by Krell, but by humans. "Is this true?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Yes, sir," Da said, standing beside him. "I've confirmed it with the historical data. We were wrong about them. We've always been wrong." Han's neural implant burned against his skin. The command was still there, still pushing. Eliminate. 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 With a sudden motion, Han reached up and pressed the button on his implant. The red light went out. The burning stopped. The command faded away. For the first time in years, Captain Han was thinking only with his own mind. "Major Park," he said, "stand down. That's an order." Park looked surprised, but he lowered his weapon. His team followed his lead. Han walked forward until he stood just outside the blue shield. The children watched him with curious eyes. Not with fear, not with hate, but with simple curiosity. "I am Captain Han of the Republic Fleet," he said. "I was sent here to eliminate you, but I will not do that." The shield flickered, then opened just enough to let him through. Han stepped inside and knelt down to look the children in the eyes. "I am sorry," he said. "The Republic has been wrong. I have been wrong." Jin stepped forward. "What happens now, Captain? Will more ships come?" Han nodded. "Fleet Command will send someone when we don't report success. They will send many ships." "Then we are still in danger," Kim said. "Yes," Han agreed. "Unless—" He stood up and turned to his crew. "Officer Dae, do you still have the evidence you showed me?" "Yes, sir," Daz said. "All of it?" "Good. We're going to send it to every Republic world. Not just to the military, but to everyone. The truth about the Krell. The truth about these children. The truth about what we've been ordered to do." "Sir," Park said, "that's against every regulation. It's treason." "No, Major," Han said firmly. "Treason is lying to your own people. Treason is making them fear and hate without reason. Treason is ordering the death of children." He looked around at his crew. "I'm not ordering any of you to join me. This is my choice. If you want to return to the ship and report me to Fleet Command, I won't stop you." No one moved. Then Park stepped forward. "Sir," he said, "my implant is off. My orders now come from you." One by one, the other crew members stepped forward. They had all made their choice. Han nodded, feeling a weight lift from his shoulders. "Then let's get to work. We need to prepare for when Fleet Command comes looking for us." "We'll help," Ta said. The blue glow had faded from his eyes, but he still stood tall. "The sanctuary has defenses. It was built to protect life. Not just to protect it," Jin added, "to preserve it, to help it grow." As they talked, the blue shield expanded, growing to cover the entire chamber. The Krell technology, responding to the children, to the humans, to the new alliance forming between them. Up on the whisper asterisk, the crew was busy. Dai had prepared the evidence. Song was setting up a broadcast that would reach every Republic world. Jay had changed the ship's weapons from attack to defense. When Fleet Command demanded an explanation for the mission abort, Han sent his reply. Not just the evidence, but a simple message. Command said eliminate. Our humanity said protect. Come and see the truth for yourselves. The whisper waited in orbit, ready to defend the planet below. Not just the hybrid children, but a new understanding. A new beginning. On the planet, in the ancient sanctuary, humans and hybrids worked together. They were no longer enemies or strangers. They were just people, trying to protect what mattered most. Their humanity.